Okay, let's build some more train. We're getting close. I think all we have left is the wheel, the track, and the cow catcher. The cow catcher we'll build today. This cow catcher, it's going to teach us some new functions. We're going to learn to loft. We're going to learn to offset a plane. We're going to shell, and we're going to inlay. But the first thing we got to do is we have to plan the build a little bit. This cow catcher has a five-sided shape on top and a similar five-sided shape on the bottom. And so this shape is I'm going to draw the bigger shape, then offset a plane for the smaller shape, and loft between the two. So let's do that. Start a sketch. I'm going to build it actually on this plane here, this horizontal plane this time. And because it's not a pentagon, I'm going to plop some points. So out from there a ways and out from there a ways, I'm going to put 2 points. The entire bottom of that five-sided shape is 1.8, so away from the center, these will be 0.9. Now, they're straight above there and straight above there, 1/4 of an inch above the x-axis. We are going to have 2 more sides. And also, scoot this down, we need a point up here right on the y-axis that is 1 inch from the x-axis, just 1. All right, so now I connect the dots with a line. And when you're connecting dots with a line, you click, oops, skipped one, click, and you just keep moving around without double clicking, and you have a pentagon pretty quick here. So that's the shape I need to draw. I'll finish that sketch. There it is. Now we're going to need to put another pentagon up above it here. In order to do that, I need a point up in the air, so to speak. So I'm going to start a sketch, and I'm not going to do it on the same plane. I'm going to do it on one of these vertical planes. So I'm just going to pick this vertical plane. I'm going to put a point right on this axis, 0.75. The loft, the distance between the bottom pentagon and the upper pentagon is 0.75. So I just need a point in the air floating there at 0.75. And when I finish this, you can see I have my five-sided shape and a point up above it. Now I need to make this five-sided shape into a plane, and I do that by coming to the plane tool, and I'm going to pick the top one. Now it's in order not to have a weird plane, I need to click on 2 90-degree corners. So I'm going to click on this side and this side, and you can see that I have I've just made a visible plane on that five-sided shape. So what I'm going to be able to do now is, if I come up here and I'm going to create a plane parallel to plane through point. All right, parallel to plane through point. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to say this is my plane, this is my point, and now you can see I have a plane parallel to my other plane through a point, and that point is at a significant 3/4 of an inch above there, because I'm going to have a large pentagon here and a smaller pentagon here, and then the loft is kind of like an extrude from one to the other. So let's move to that a little bit. I need to now start a sketch on this plane right here. So I select it, and it's going to have some points. I'm going to come over here a ways and put a point, and over here a ways and put a point. And now from that point that I had up in the air to this point, I just plop down. The smaller plane is 1.2 inches. So this is 0.6. Likewise, from the point to the point is 0.6 over here as well. All right. Like before, I'm going to have a point right above there. I'm going to have a point right above there, and I'm also going to have a point right on this axis as well. Let's dimension those. From this point to this point is 0.25. It stays at 0.25 as it moves up. And over here from that point to that point is 0.25. And from my original point to the tip of this pentagon is 0.75. All right, so now I can use my line tool and connect my dots. And I have a smaller pentagon inside, above, I should say, my other pentagon. Now, what I'm going to try and do now is have these two pentagons connected. And I want to do that with the tool right over here, right next to extrude, revolve. There's a loft tool. And the loft tool, I need to pick a shape to go from one to the other. And I want this to be a solid, so right here I clicked solid, but I want to go from this shape to this shape. And I'm going to say okay and see how I did. That is exactly what I wanted to do. Now it's going to mess with me to see these planes hanging out all the time. So I'm going to go over on the edge, right click, and I'm going to check so it is not visible. And I'm going to do that on both of them so it doesn't mess with me. All right, so now what I have is this is the cow catcher. You'll notice it's a little bit smaller on top than it is on the bottom, but it's got a few things going on. All right, so we got to get organized again. We need to put a peg or two so this sticks on the front of our train. The pegs go on this back side. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put a sketch on this back side. And like you expect, we're going to locate some points back. There's 3 pegs, and I'm going to not be too exact. I'm going to put a point across, and a point somewhere. I'll say it's going to end up in the middle, so I'm going to go right up in here. So I've got 3 points, and those 3 points I now need to locate. They are from the bottom. This one is from the bottom. Oh, I didn't grab. It is 0.125 center of a circle, 0.125. So it's actually pretty close to the bottom. So is this one 0.125? So they're pretty close to the bottom. Let me do one more. If there was a line between these two, this would be 0.5 above it. So what I have to think is from this point to this point, it is 0.125 plus 0.5. And we might could have figured that out somehow, but I don't need to. And that makes it 0.5 up from there. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to put some circles on these points. So I'm going to come over here and center some circles. on these points we just made. These circles all need to be dimensioned the same, and somewhere in my drawing it should say what those circles are. Those circles are .125. And they are all going to be the same. These are supposed to match up to some holes on the front of our train body that we've already built. So now I've got all three of these circles. I'm going to finish that sketch, and I need to extrude these circles all out. They don't come out very far. Somewhere I need to have that collected a little better, how far they do come out. Took me a second to find it, but they come out, all of them, 0.125. And I need to select all of these dudes, and they all came out 0.125. And now I have the pegs to attach our cow catcher to the train body. So obviously that has to be lined up right, else that won't work out for us. I'm going to do a tiny little, I want to clean up the edge so they'll poke in there just a little bit. So I'm going to do I guess it's a fillet. I want to fillet these, but not very much. It's a little bitty, actually it's not a fillet, it's a chamfer. It's a 45-degree chamfer, there that is, and it is 0.01. So not much, but a tiny little rounding to these edges so that it kind of goes in nicely to the holes on the train body. Nice. All right. Okay, now we got to do a couple more things to this. First of all, we have pegs on it. We have to do a little bit of fancy stuff to it, so let's spin it around here. On this front right here, we need to inlay, kind of just carve out a little bit of a spot here. So let me work this around. So we need to create a sketch on this face right here. On this face, we need to do an offset, and we're just going to click on offset. Oops, thought I created a sketch already. Oh, I did. Okay, so we have to do an offset. To do an offset, we have to have a polygon to offset. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line tool. I'm going to trace this polygon, that this side that we've already built in different ways. There it is. Then I'm going to come up here and go offset and touch that and move it in. Now what I need to do is dimension between these spots. I've got to have a certain dimension there that this is all offset. That offset is actually 0.10, and that's going to make it all the way around like that. I'm going to finish that sketch, and now what I can do is I'm going to do a little bit of extruding here on this face. I got to be careful because I just want to barely set that in a little bit, but I do want to set it, I do want to cut it in, so I'm going to come up and hit my cut tool, and it's not going to cut in very much. we're gonna have it cut in just 0.05. Oh, it doesn't like something I'm doing there. Distance 0.05. So it's not much of a cut in. So I'm gonna double check that. And yeah, it's just 0.05. We're actually gonna shell this to 0.1 in a minute, so it's half of that. So now if we twist it around a little bit, it isn't much, but we've just got a little nice inlay there, I guess we can call it. So let's do another sketch over on this one here. And in order to pull this off, again, we'll have to trace this shape. Go corner to corner, make sure we click on the greens. And now once we've done that, we can select this shape, come in, and this distance here, got a better memory, I'd remember it. That is 0.125. Now, so I can finish that sketch. Again, I'm going to come over here to extrude. I'm going to cut this little guy out just a tiny bit. It's set up the way I was last time, so I'm okay. So now what I have here is a little bit of nice inlay sort of setup on it. I don't have any on the top. I just have on those two fronts. Gives it a nice little look. So now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to shell this. It's a solid mass, and we don't need it as a solid mass. We just need a hollow shell in there. It'll be strong enough. So that's our next step, is to shell this mass. So for the shell, it's pretty quick and simple. We just have to decide which face we want gone. And the face we want gone is the very bottom. So we're going to turn this so we can see the bottom of the cow catcher right here. We're going to go up to this tool on a ribbon called shell, and we have to select a face. And so I'm going to select this one. You have to select a thickness, and it is 0.1 is the thickness I want. So it's sitting there at the right thickness. I click on it, and now this is hollowed out, and from the top it looks like it's a solid object. However, we have hollowed it out, and we are done with our cow catcher. And so, like I should be doing all along, this was a long enough build. I should have saved this along the way in case something happened, but I didn't. But make sure we save it in our train file with the others, so when we go to make a video, etc., it's all there together. There's our cow catcher.